let's see if we can finish our shipwright or shipyard, whatever they're gonna call it. I think it's just shipyards. I think they're over here. Shipyard. If that's the shipyard, where is the ships going? Because they're surrounded by walls. Doesn't make any sense. And I think we have at least one person that is absolutely suitable to that. And I guess we don't have the other one or two people that should be suitable for this too, because oh yeah, we haven't finished their side missions. Research. Can we do any of the research? No. Of course not. Let's see. We still got plenty in our coffers. But we should probably... Oh, that research is done. Might as well complete any research that needs to be completed. Yeah, we can level up that. I'm kind of holding off on leveling anything up though. Mainly just because I don't know if there's anything I should save, money and all that for. No clue. Look at all the buildings we're going to be able to build, though. It's going to be interesting. Alright. Let's go back to the throne room. Alright. Got the shipyard build, buddy.
Well.
Yeah, I guess we have to talk to Ketch now.
Hey there!
I didn't really build a boat or a contraption for the boat for it to jump over the ravine or the gorge. Yeah, the great rift in the sea. So we'll fly over it automatically. That's nice.
Huh?
What is this science? Oh yeah, isn't there someone like fucking with some type of energy module?
Say,
And he's like going mad. He's about to blow up the whole world.
Oh, come on.
Okay, well, I think before we set out, do a little bit more kingdomly stuff. See if we can build, or at least upgrade, a few more recurrent buildings. Which, after I upgrade that, we won't have any more money. Wait, I was only level 1 to 2, right? Damn, it changed quite a bit. I guess it's been long enough to where we haven't actually been able to do that. Oh yeah, it's just gonna cost money to research that. Oh, she's suitable. There we go. Yeah, anyone that doesn't have a star next to the name mostly likely is not a very suitable candidate. Like, yeah, they can be there, but they're not contributing as much as you probably want them to. So let's see what we're about to build. Gathering of fruits and flowers. How much do we have in our coffers right now? Not a lot. There. I think before we leave, we'll try and empty all this out. Also kind of want to see if we can do anything. Oh, we can do research. What can we do research when it comes to boats? High speed helmsmanship. Technique that uses a clever rudder control to help the ship move more quickly. Oh, so we can move our have our ship move a little bit more quickly. That's cool. And then basic stealth boat building. Cuts down on unnecessary noise when sailing, helping to evade enemies' notice. Oh, so it would be a little less noticeable too. That'd be nice as well. Damn, all that would be good. Because we're constantly getting noticed while we're on the sea. So that'd be nice. We'll try and get some of that other stuff built and our research kind of going eventually at some point in time. Our kingdom is much bigger now. Getting out of the kingdom is actually going to be harder. Or it'll take longer. Not harder, but yeah. Alright. Let's see, do we need to potentially fast travel? I think we need to jump the gorge. And then land near that, I guess, that city. Because I think the mountains are going to be in the way, and I don't think there's a way to cross the mountains. So we'll probably fast travel to the open world, Hydropolis. Wait, why is there so many? Head for broadleaf? Is there so many different like things pointing in different directions? We'll go to the one that's the best direction, which is pretty much straight ahead. Doom, 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 doom. I forgot what level we are. We're 30 something.
Prepare to be boarded!
I see. Boom. Let's see, what level are we? 36, 37. All right. Frilly fish. If their name are blue, they don't want to give us a lot of XP. Ow. All right.
Exit! Quick!
Is that what we're heading towards? Is a big old, looks like a gust of wind. Haha! Lots of enemies to kill. Ow! Shit! Laid it into me. Fuck. Ah, bloody hell. It's never gonna stop. There's gonna be so many enemies during these crossing zones.
Come on!
That's alright, we need to level up, but... Give me a second, I need to get some sword away.
Hey, grab this!
Dun, 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 dun. I think we need, yeah, it's these areas. And this should just happen automatically. That's pretty cool. It's probably scary as shit. It's like, oh my god, if we fall, we're dead. We're screwed. We're screwed. Oh shit! Oh, good lord. Are they all level 50? No. Good god. You gotta be careful with these motherfuckers. Alright, I'll fight the level 40s. God damn.
Come on!
Shit. Shit, dude. What the fuck? Come on. Yeah, if that level 50 caught us, we were screwed. I might have to grind a little bit. Because these guys are, what, 38 and up? It's a little tough. I mean, we're 37 for the majority, so I'm not worried about that. But still, like a level 40 could smack us once and it hurts. Like this guy.
I'm counting on you! Grab this!
Motherfucker. Bum, 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 bum. Like that scares the shit out of me. It's like, why is there so many of those guys? It's all right, I can fight the 40, but not the 47. Jesus shit. Hey, get off of me. That guy could actually kill me. Oh, shit. I tried to dodge that, but you can't. Oh, shit. Dun, dun, dun. Wait a minute. Oh, we have to cross one more. Oh, well, we might not have to, but. It's probably just like a small little shortcut. Oh, 39. It's decent.
To be boarded.
Hola. Pebbles for days. And I always exchange pebbles for candy, apparently. What in the fuck? Oh, I guess I kind of know what happened. Or is this like them dumping their unused products here? Or used products would probably be the better. Wait, how do we get up there? I mean, yeah, we could kind of jump. Here we go. It's not 100% obvious, but good God, level 43, dude. I mean, I shouldn't be too frightened of a level 43, but at the same time, we're not 40 yet. And usually between the differences between 40 and even 42 is insanely high. Oh, these are new. I don't think we've oh my god, someone was hitting hard. Holy shit. Oh, I don't know what the fuck that. Oh, it does self-destruct.
I need your help!
Oh, they self-destruct. That's so fucking wild. Okay. Okay. Note to self. Fighting those assholes. They will take you with them. Wonder if you have to defeat them just before. Oh my god. Oh, shit. I need to heal you guys first. It's like the 3-leaf swordway is going to be our regulars now when it comes to healing. I'm also going to see maybe change up my party a bit. Might do Magic Man here, swap him out, and let's make sure everything's kind of optimal. Not 100% sure, but it's slightly stronger wand. No. Yeah, actually, no. That makes a lot more sense to have more magic. This one, which the swords should be optimized. Just gotta see if he has a. Nope, doesn't have any other better guns. His current gun looks like a alien gun. Alright. Let's see if our gear's optimal. 1 second. I think our overall gear is optimal. Strength and melee attack, water damage. I think overall we're good. Okay, what's his level? Oh, he's at level 40. He should be able to help us a little bit. Should be. We'll definitely have to do some grinding because level 40 is a very tough task. We're getting closer though. They're not like gunning for me though, which is funny.
Come on!
I think it's funny. Get this hill. Don't you dare heal.
Take that!
Hell yeah. Every defeat is a victory. 42. All these motherfuckers are gonna be like semi higher level than me. At least until I catch the fuck up. Which I do have it to where in my tactics tweaker, I have it optimized to get more XP. I think. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, because if I switch it, that's money, that's more experience in battle. This is more rare item materials. This is more experience, money or thing, and rare material or equipment. And I think I like that balance right there, so I won't change it. Spoils setting can be for. Might as well spend some battle points. All right. Time to escape battle. Don't really worry about that. MP restored during taking damage. And power ranged boost. Oh man, can't do anymore. Man. At least those are boosted now. So those guys are aggressive. It seems like maybe the bots aren't though.
On you all.
Now. Ow, dick. Here's a flying. And he's a dying. Yeah, we leveled it up, so that means we got auto heal. So they're no longer. Oh god, level 52. Holy shit! Don't go near him. Man, right when I getting closer to 40, I see a level 50 asshole over there. It's like, motherfucker. I'm in the right area. I know I am. These assholes are strong as fuck.
I'll do my best!
These guys are strong. Very strong. Oh, magic. I didn't need that. Cool. Kill or be killed? That is the question.
Here goes nothing.
Oh, I love that. Do all-out damage to most of the enemies before they attack. We're gonna have to definitely buy some more healing items though eventually. Once we sell some of our older shit. Holy shit, dude. Leave me alone. Such a dick. Out. Right when I attack. Really. What the fuck? Oh, interesting. So magic attacks are useless against him. Why isn't that for him? What the fuck? They're freaking me out, dude. A dark crystal. Oh my goodness, we got the dark crystal. We got the dark crystal.
I am counting on you all.
Ow. Don't be an asshole.
I'm counting on you.
Get your heals. Nope, nope. Dodge that.
I need your help.
So now we're trying to get over there. Maybe I should work my way over there. I just don't know what's really over there. BL Aster. Blaster.
Come on.
Except he doesn't blast. Ah, dick. fuck off. Oh, self-destructing.
I'm counting on you.
Heals. Heals over here. Oh, he almost got knocked out. What the hell? I don't like that. Seems like he was about to self-destruct too, and his blast was probably going to be bigger. Oh man. Well, we're level 38 now. Getting closer to being at the right level. I think we need to be at 40 or 41 to really say, oh, what the fuck? Are they all 50? Do I need to be level 50 for this overall area? Because if so, I'm gonna go back and do some side quests. Yeah, is that whole? What the? That's 40. Are there just a little bit of a mix of 50s? Okay, there's just random mixes of 50s in there. The shit, dude. So strong ass enemies in this area.
Watch your backs.
Ow, dick.
I'm counting on you.
And defeated. Maybe we should go in and see what the hell's going on. It's very polluted outside. So what is going on? Looks very dystopian.
Flippin' Nora!
Oh my.
Hey!
Anti-vector faction demonstration.
Yeah!
Well, let's unlock this fast travel. I need to talk to a shopkeeper real quickly. Which I guess all the shopkeepers are robots. Sorway, how much mons do I have? A good amount. I can try to get 20. We're good on angel tears. We get 4 of those. This is good for what? Good on everything else. Is there anything I can sell you? Well, first we probably should go through our inventory to see if there's anything we need to optimize. Purple, purple. Our weapons are good. Oh, wait. Oh. Let's do this. There we go. That way his weapons updated. I think her weapons updated too, if I'm correct. Yeah, with his. It's been a while since we've had her fight. Maybe we should get her to back on the team. It's been a while. Feel a little guilty not using her. That's probably what we'll do. I feel a little guilty not using you on the team, so we'll just do that. That's it. I think if anyone's rings and all that need to be updated, it's probably gonna be hers. So let's see, we had a boost in magic defense and water resistance. So far, nothing better. Nothing much better. Yeah, that's what it looks like anyway. Hell of arrows. Burrowing bolt. Plunder. Oh yeah, she can steal shit. Which might be good, especially when we need more things to be, taken from enemies. Level 3. Oh yeah, we need to like kind of keep boosting all our shit. I think we're kind of fighting with a handicap here due to the fact we're not increasing people's magic and abilities and all that other baloney. So this will be sometimes stunned, so that could stun enemies. Shock. Ruin of the spear combo. So there's 2 of these abilities. Do I want to change the burrowing bolts to hell of arrows? Metal move that rains down arrows on unsuspecting enemies. The power is 80 compared to the 30, but however, potentially stun. We'll do that. Give her at least one very somewhat strong ability to use. Now his abilities, we have the flatliner, circular sword, heavy ammo, and then we have clarity of purpose, sword slash that focuses the mind and boost physical attack for a short time. So it's kind of like a self buff. And then we have also static wall, which is level 5 and we're not using it. What? But miss the shockwave. I say do that. Static wall. update his abilities a little bit. And I think we haven't learned anything new, at least when it comes to the main character themselves. Pretty sure we haven't learned anything. Yeah, because we have the cut and thrust, which I might change one of the. I'm trying to figure out which ability I want to change though, because we have a fire and we have a water, and then we have the flurry. I don't use flurry that much, so because I do like the king spin, but if the king spin is pretty much the same as this though. Series of rapid fire slashes that can take out enemies on all sides. Actually, that's probably just a big old update to Kingspin, isn't it? I'll have to test it out, see if I like it. It's probably just a big old update, big old upgrade for Kingspin. Bum, 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 bum. Do I go uptown or midtown? Head to the landing pad. I'm assuming top of street uptown. Because I think we're in downtown. Is that the case? Are we in downtown? Because we're in the lower sector. That would be funny if that was called downtown. It's funny because our downtown in Colorado Springs is north. But I think that's kind of like all usual tendencies when it comes to western towns and all that. They're either further north or further east when it comes to the older part of town. North or northern east. It's probably mainly because we always expanded to the west. So it kind of made sense that older parts of town tends to be on the eastern side of, or northern to eastern side. Stardust pepper? I guess I should probably start cooking too. Eventually, at some point. Oh, she's a protest leader.
Listen. Oh.
Bracken Meadows. Watch, she's gonna be a character that joins our team. I find like all of her weapons and like abilities are tech related.
Golly.
I can see it. She kind of stands out a little bit compared to the other people. That is going to be the old guy because he has pink slippers, loafers. You never know who's going to be the next party member.
Hey.
He's back. All right, let's see what's happening. What's happening?
Look!
What is that thing? It appears to be an airship of some sort.
Look at the face on it!
We're ready when you are, Bracken. Just say the word.
Thanks, Trey. Maybe now you'll listen, Zip.
For too long, the President has been working us like slaves to get his perpetual fission reactor finished. But we have a message for him. We are not your slaves, Zip.
We're not slaves! We're not slaves!
We demand workers' rights. We demand fair treatment. We've had it with being worked half to death. No more reactor. No more overtime.
We're not slaves! We're not slaves!
Sounds like I'm gonna have to let some people go.
What's that light?
What the fuck is that? It's an Oni! Oh, that's no Oni, that's a fucking kaiju!
Now you see what happens to those who defy me!
This is the bottom line.
Finally decided to make an appearance, huh, Mr. President?
What a disappointment to see you leading this ragtag resistance. You know, I expected better of you, Bracken.
I expected better of you, too. Have you forgotten what we said when we started out?
Shouldn't she be yelling that line?
We promised to make the world a better place, remember?
And we will! The perpetual fission reactor will change the world forever!
Unless they have technology to where it's kind of like they're talking walkie-talkie style.
And the future will be mine to define!
Even if it means trampling over everybody who helped you make it this far? You used to care about us. You used to be a leader people could trust. But that's all gone. Now it's progress or nothing, no matter the cost. When did you get so broken?
I'm the broken one? Look at yourselves, stuck in the past, left behind by the march of progress. I don't need you anymore.
It is time.
Wait, is that their Kingmaker?
You're right.
Hot damn. Oh shit. Pretty interesting tech.
Do you really think you can stop me? Well, let me tell you something, friend. Anybody who stands in my way gets atomized!
For some reason, on Twitch's end, we're not doing so hot. I'm gonna keep paused right here for a second, because I have no fucking clue what's going on Twitch. YouTube side is fantastic right now. You guys are doing fantastic. But yeah, something's going on with Twitch, and I don't know what's going on. They're constantly dropping frames. It's ridiculous. I'm waiting for the dream, the frames to stop dropping, but yeah, because our router's good. We're on the up and up. Everything like that. It's weird. Maybe this is a good time to